Look at you.
I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to come visit your place, Jane.
Oh, yeah, please.
Take a look at, although for me, Cedar Crest is a little further than I'd move, but you're closer. Later, Jane, I'm going to ask you if you knew the minister from Faith Lutheran that died.
Yes, Judy.
Yeah, her obituary was in the paper.
Yeah, nice lady. Hard refrienders.
Okay, so where do we want to pick up today? Does anybody have any place in particular? Because I've got a couple thoughts on the matter, but
Well, I had a couple lines that I underlined, one on page 93. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus states, "You have heard that it was said, 'You shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy.' The Torah includes no commandment to hate one's enemy." And then it goes on that perhaps he is reflecting a saying in the Dead Sea Scrolls. But, I've heard that so much. You have heard
Yeah,
it was said, "You shall love your neighbor." And I just figured it was from the Jewish people.
me too.
I think that's what you were meant to figure.
Mhm.
So that was really, I was really struck by that.
The rule of the community.
well, and then in that same paragraph right at the end, she writes, "Love cannot be restricted." Luke made the same point. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. The lawyers had not been listening. The lawyer had not been listening, which, we often see happening. But yeah, it's not there.
Even today, we see that happening.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then on the next page, that was even more. On the top of the next page, only Jesus insists on loving the enemy. Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. He may be the only person in antiquity to have given this instruction. That's pretty amazing too.
Sure is. I thought that some of the other later religions that came about did have something, and I can't quote it, about.
Well, I think what Amy-Jill is saying is maybe up to Jesus. I mean, because the others that you might be pointing to came after
Yeah,
Jesus. So
he was the first
she says the only in
in antiquity. Yeah.
So that probably includes all sorts of different religions that we can't even think of, that
right.
don't even come to our mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another possible, I like what it said later, in the next paragraph where it says, in Hebrew, the words neighbor and evil share the same consonants. They differ only in vowels. Think of the text, but both are written identically. So he says, how do you read? He's saying, are you able to see in the very words of the Torah the equation of enemy with neighbor? And thus, now that's something I hadn't thought of before either.
Yeah,
That third paragraph on the top of the page 94.
that's pretty fascinating that
That part, yeah.
I mean, I guess it also goes to our modern belief that, or not ours on this particular screen, but a modern belief that that the words in our sacred scripture are exactly as given by whomever would have given them. And that she just very offhandedly sort of points out that when words were written, the only things were written were the consonants, and therefore the applying the vowels makes words completely um what's the word, interpretable by the one doing the interpreting. And so it's pretty near impossible to make a case for at least, what's the word I'm looking for? Not it. I don't want to say inerrancy. I want to say literally. So I think that's what I want to say. It's hard to make that case because she says that right there. When Jesus asks the lawyer, "How do you read?" I mean, that completely changes things, I think. How do you read it? Not what do you understand? How do you read it?
Mm-hmm.
Not how was it written down literally, but how do you read it? That's a very different question.
Emphasis on the word you. How do you read?
How do you read it? And what that does then, it puts the responsibility on the reader to
Mhm.
be reading, to be contextualizing, to be in community interpreting. All of those things are need to happen then.
Well, and the other thing is Hebrew is actually a pretty poor language, and then a word can have a lot of different meanings.
Yeah.
And so it's also the meaning you give to the word that
Yeah.
you read.
Right. Meaning. Yeah. Yeah. Just the meaning and context are not fixed.
Right.
So how can anyone claim that there is only one way to understand? Okay. So did we talk at all about context, about form, the form of the parable as she sort of as she sets that out? I can't remember if we did.
Where
Mm.
where are you?
Well, she doesn't talk about form particularly. She talks about form in the way of the priest, the rabbi, and the minister walk into a bar kind of form. So I'm on page 102. And she talks about a couple of things here that I just think that are fascinating and that we have considered previously.
Can you tell me how does the paragraph begin that you're at?
Okay, so on
My
page,
pages don't match up.
yes, I can. For those of you who do match up, what page 102, I am the best explanation. So she's talking about the refusal of
Oh, yeah.
uh,
Paragraph 3.
the priest and the
Paragraph 3.
Levite.
Okay.
So that begins arguments that read the parable in terms of uncleanness or purity are made by modern Christians, not by Jesus or Luke. Neither gives the priest or Levite an excuse, no, nor would any excuse be acceptable. Their responsibility was to save a life, and they failed.
Paragraph 2.
Okay. Then she
Mhm.
goes on to say, the best explanation I've heard for the refusal of the priest and the Levite to come to the aid of the man in the ditch comes from Martin Luther King Jr., who preached,
Mm.
I'm going to tell you what my imagination tells me. It's possible these men were afraid. Where have we read that kind of thing before?
Yeah.
That's exactly what Will Gaffney was teaching us about sanctified imagination, isn't it? That,
Yeah.
go
Wow.
ahead.
No,
Yeah.
I was just thinking, and isn't that's often my thought about the people that support the current administration?
In what way?
Well, like, particularly at the higher levels, that they're terrified of what Donald Trump can do to them, their families, their careers,
Yeah.
on and on and on.
Yeah. So the first question that the priest and the Levite asked was, if I stop to help this man, what will happen to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right there, Jane. It's,
Does that have to, yeah, and you're right, Jane, but does that have to do with, because I was just reading Deuteronomy, which is weird, about being thrown out of the camp or thrown out of the
Mhm.
synagogue,
you
that if
bet.
he touches the unclean person, he will be thrown out there. Hi, Jane.
I'm not quite so, I'm not so sure.
Amy-Jill absolutely does not agree with that.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, what is, what are
About
we
the clean and
gonna discuss?
unclean thing.
Right. She makes a big point on page, I can't find it now, of course. On page 895.
Page
I
95.
think it's 95. It's wherever she talks about going down from Jerusalem.
Oh,
And I just saw it and now I can't find it, of course.
okay. Well,
But that if they were going away from the temple,
oh, yeah.
which going down to Jerusalem means, then there was no fear of being defiled or made unclean
You're right. I
by
remember
touching a corpse.
going
Yeah.
away from.
And at any rate,
Mhm.
the injunction to save a life supersedes everything.
Hmm.
And followed by the injunction to bury the dead.
Mhm.
And that the fear of being made unclean would have nothing to do with the Levite because he was not from the priestly class. And, you know, that it sort of goes along with you have heard
Mhm.
hate your enemy. You
Mhm.
know, this is something concocted to make the Jews look bad, particularly the priest and the Levite. That
And I'm following
class
you
of
on page
people.
102 on the very last paragraph.
Yes. So
Where
if
she
the
says-
issue,
Go ahead, Kathy.
well, no, I was just wanted to locate that for Jane. Of course.
Yeah.
So if the issue, is that the paragraph you're looking at, Anne?
Yeah, so if the issue is not priestly purity, why did he speak of a priest and Levite? And he says the rule of three,
Mm-hmm.
the first two set up the third.
Right. So
So
that's
if each will function, the first two fail and the third will succeed.
so that's sort of interpretation based on form, right? The form of the prose needs to help us interpret what's going on. And I mean, that's where you get um, uh, that's where we miss so much is in the form of the prose, the form of the poetry, the puns. I mean,
Yeah.
so she finishes that thought on page 103. Jane Korsberg, this is right before she goes to the next pericope. So the paragraph reads, however, Jesus is telling a parable, and parables never go the way one expects. Instead of the anticipated Israelite, the person who stops to help a Samaritan is a Samaritan. In modern terms, this would be like going from Larry and Mo. We all know who the third one on that is, right?
Yep.
Larry and Mo to Osama bin Laden.
Mhm.
So the form
I
sets
think
us
that's
up.
stretching the point a bit, but never mind.
Yeah, it is stretching, but she's making a point, right? that within the form, we are being set up to
Mhm.
expect something. And then the shock is whatever the thing is that we absolutely do not expect
Right.
happens. So, what were those two first guys afraid of? Not unclean. Maybe they were afraid of a loss of power. Who knows what they were, what their motivating factors were. And maybe that is secondary to setting up the form. It could very well just be secondary to Larry Moe and not Curly, right?
Hmm.
You know what? I just saw something interesting back on page 97, which I didn't look at the first time. She's talking about how bandits are called in Hebrew, lestai, Lestai. In John, Barabbas, the guilty one set free when the innocent Jesus goes through death, is a lestes. Lestes. Yes, we could see the crucified men, but in Luke, the men crucified on Jesus' left and right are lesti. Yes, we could see the crucified men as freedom fighters executed by Rome. We could also see them as murderers or thieves.
As Luke describes them, criminals.
I mean, that's kind of interesting. I've always thought of them as criminals.
Right. Well,
And apparently we could, maybe they were.
well, I don't know. Luke describes it, or John describes it as, and this is just trivia. The men say, we are getting the good thieves. We are getting what we have deserved. So you assume from that they were thieves.
Bad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
moving
that's
on,
right. You're right.
moving on.
Who wants to talk?
But generally, Rome didn't crucify just a robber. They crucified slaves who had run away, and they crucified people who fought Rome.
Political enemies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so much in this I- in this chapter that is just, yeah.
Speaking of structure, then on 103, she goes on to say that as the parable turns to the Good Samaritan, the structure changes. And it concentrates more on the Samaritan and descriptions and more detail.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's turn to that then. So we've got this surprise, this shocking person who is doing the caring. In the middle of the page, then on 104. So right after that, she introduces us now to this change. The Samaritan's compassion then becomes, for many of today's interpreters, the hook by which the sermon functions. Okay, so she's very clearly now talking about how the form of this piece of writing operates. And a little further down, but to understand the parable as did its original audience, we need to think of Samaritans less as oppressed but benevolent figures and more as the enemy, as those who do the oppressing. From the perspective of the man in the ditch, Jewish listeners might balk at the idea of receiving Samaritan aid. They might have thought, I'd rather die than acknowledge that one from that group saved me. I do not want to acknowledge that a rapist has a human face, or I do not want to recognize that a murderer will be the one to rescue me. I mean, as a preacher, an interpreter and a preacher, it is so tempting, and I'm sure I have fallen into this, to just define each one of these characters and move on.
Yeah.
And what she is pointing out is not only the complexity, but the muddiness, that there is absolutely nothing clear in this particular story. Absolutely nothing. I mean, it is if we could just say something very clear about that Samaritan, then we could just move on with the story. But that the thought, I'd rather die than acknowledge that one from that group saved me. I do not want to acknowledge that a rapist has a human face. That, to me, that's huge. For me, that is a huge, huge thing. Because that permeates all of Jesus's work and ministry. It addresses the question, who is my enemy? But it also goes to and this one is so very hard. I've had this conversation over and over with people that even that rapist, even that murderer has a place with Jesus. The possibility, I mean, not just the possibility, but if we believe that God loves every human being, and that none of us deserve this salvation that is freely given, then every one of us is available for God's love, forgiveness, and reconciliation, no matter what we've done. And that concept is the very concept people sitting in those pews cannot believe.
Does that,
and the people not sitting in the pews.
yeah, does that go to the concept of purgatory?
That you have to talk to the theologians about.
Okay.
Concept of what, Anne?
Purgatory, that there is this place for
Yeah, I mean, it does bring up God's time, our time, and how when does all this happen, and when is completely and absolutely out of my theological wheelhouse. All I know is God is fully capable of bringing every single human being into God's love and embrace. And that's up to God and God's time. Okay, Sharon, and then Jane Korsberg.
To me, it goes more to every human being made in the image of God.
Are there human beings not made in the image of God?
Pardon me?
Are there human beings not made in the image?
No.
That the opposite.
Even though it's tempting
Okay.
to think that there are some who are not.
Yes, there you go.
That's not true.
How can that be God's image?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
But
yeah. Jane Korsberg's next.
I'm kind of thinking on a segue there about how we crave justice, and we're called to seek justice and mercy, and connect that to the feelings that I have about individuals who perpetrate great horror on others, like the incident at the Catholic Church, and then commit suicide. So there's no opportunity. It's a kind of it's a conundrum for me.
I think you're absolutely right, Jane. It is a conundrum. And every single time I sort of enter into that conundrum, the only thing I can even think and believe is that that's why God's God and I am not. Because
Yeah.
I could never figure that thing out. I do believe absolutely and completely that God is fully capable of bringing that person who committed such horrific acts into God's embrace.
Mm.
How that happens, I will never know. And it's a darn good thing it's not up to me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm going for the justice.
Yeah, Jane Syme wanted to say something, I think. Did you?
If we believe that Jesus died and in his process, he took off the punishment for every single one of us, all of it, and that we are all capable of being forgiven. We not only capable, we are forgiven, period. But you have to accept it. That's the only request. And then God can do
But
what
I get
the loving of you.
I get that. I asked the question again, when? I mean, that's the
We have
question
no idea.
that we have.
And
When
what?
we have to do
When?
that. I mean, God is fully capable of bringing all persons into God's self.
Yeah.
If I don't do that before I die, does that mean I'm out?
That's up to God.
Exactly
Yeah.
where we come back to. It's
Yeah.
up to God. It's not up to me. Mary Lou.
I think we have to remember that we're all capable
Yeah.
under the right
Oh, God help us.
circumstances
Mm-mm.
of doing things that are unimaginable.
I agree. I agree. I mean, and that's
And you know,
sort of those
and you know
moral.
the person's thoughts the moment they're dying. That's what it takes. The moment they're dying, they could say, "I'm sorry, Lord."
But can't they do that after death? I mean, why not? Whatever. I mean, what do we know? What do
Right.
we know? Nothing. We know absolutely nothing. And I'm with Mary Lou. You know, if I had to do something horrible to save the lives of my children and grandchildren, would I not do that? You know, we are all fully capable
Yeah.
of indescribable violence, I believe.
God help us.
And good.
And good. That's it.
Yes.
And in
it's
equal
it's the
parts.
choice
Good. Well, in the moment, you know,
that
who
we,
knows?
Well, even people who get caught up, like in Germany, people who worked in concentration camps, they got caught up. And we're all capable of that.
What
I
about
mean,
Hitler?
Yeah.
we
exactly.
discussed that.
Yeah, exactly. Those who we deem are monsters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And God is fully capable of bringing those people into communion with God.
And is that where the parable is going with the Samaritan, that God is fully capable of the Samaritan being a part of God? I mean, it was a sort of
You're
a,
right.
I was
Exactly.
reading on page 105 when she gets in the weeds a bit about why the Samaritan, why they hated each other. It was pretty political.
Yeah.
And I never quite got that. Israel's capital was Samaria.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
political
was
and
pretty- it was
theological.
pretty.
Yeah. Yeah. And we live today with that political and theological conundrum.
Yeah.
This parable means to me Jesus telling us, do it now as I'm telling you, love your neighbor. Don't give any excuses. Do it now.
I like
And
to do it
he is
now
showing
idea.
through this three people what it means to be loving your neighbor. And to me, the parable's big picture is that.
We're we're so often follow the Levite and the priest. They saw two things. They saw the robber on the side of the road, and they saw the road that they were on. And they wanted to get to the end of that road. They had something to accomplish. They had something they wanted to do, and they wanted to stay on that road.
Not
And
get
they
And
did
bothered.
so many times.
we're so many times, in fact, me probably all the time, we just want to stay on the road we're on, get done what we wanted to get done, and just ignore
Everything
what we're
else.
what's passing by on the side of the road because we've got things to do.
Places to go. Money,
Yep,
other places to spend our money.
Mhm.
yep, yep.
No,
I mean,
yeah.
that's us, that's me all the time. You know, I've just got things to do and you can't,
Yeah.
I just don't want to be,
Bothered.
I don't want to stop.
And
I think,
other part of
go ahead, Ann.
the other part of that is often those things to do seem to be equally good.
Important, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Know that
Exactly.
um
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay here because I want to make sure my husband's okay. So I'm not gonna take the time to go out and do something for 14.49 or give whatever.
Exactly.
Because then maybe then I tell myself, well, going out there to do good there is selfish because I'm making me feel good rather than staying where I
Where you need to be. Yeah. Yeah. I think
we get ourselves all tied up in
we do.
knots.
Yeah.
We do. And I think that is the reality and the conundrum of the
Mhm.
again at the bottom of page 113, and that comes after her translation of which of these three a neighbor does it seem to you was the one who fell among the robbers. And she says in that very first paragraph, the lawyer asked Jesus, who is my neighbor? And Jesus reframes the question. As Martin Luther King Jr. so eloquently revealed in his sermon, asking the right question is of utmost importance. The issue for Jesus is not the who, but the what. And that's exactly, Jane, time what you were saying. Not the identity, but the action. The lawyer is unable even to voice the hated name Samaritan. He can only say the one doing mercy for him. So the what and not the who. And we, as you have all just so eloquently described, and we see around us all the time, somebody else is going to do that.
Mhm.
It's not my responsibility.
Mhm. Yep.
Oh, who's the one? Oh, that hymn. Who am I, Lord? Are you calling in the night?
Yeah.
I love that hymn. And that's so eloquent. I will go, Lord, if you call me.
Mm-hmm.
The beautiful, I can't remember the first line.
Yeah.
And I do think that that is better translated. I will go when, not if.
Yeah.
There's no if.
When you call me, yeah.
That is always a when.
Yeah.
And at the end of that, the parable spoke about compassion, but the lawyer read the action as one of mercy. His phrasing of the issue is apt. Compassion can be felt in the gut. Isn't that true?
Oh, yeah.
Mercy
we can
needs
feel
to be
that.
enacted with the body. And those two things are happening to us and in within us all the time. We know what that gut feels like when we hear the news. You know, we feel it in our gut, right? We talk about I mean, I have a very physical gut reaction to disconcerting news. When I feel like my kids are in some kind of trouble, I feel it in my gut,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
And then, I mean, it's the same so around here, the words that have been used again over and over and over again are what please pray. What it's the pray, thoughts and prayers are good, but mercy is in your feet. I can't remember exactly what that has been. Do you remember, Mary Lou? I've seen that, Mary Lou or Catherine. I can.
I've seen it, but like I get the gist.
You get the gist. I can't come up with exactly the words. That's exactly what it is. Mercy needs to be enacted with the body. Please feel that compassion and that
But
gut punch that we feel in the midst of this. And mercy needs to be enacted with the body.
Yeah, I like the line on 114. It's the second paragraph that says, the divine is manifested only through our actions.
Only. Only. There's a strong word. The divine is manifested, is made real. The divine is enfleshed, incarnated. It has muscles and bones and blood, right? That's what that means.
So here's my conundrum.
Okay.
Um, we at Trinity and St. Paul's are being urged to take up meditations, which you, Kathy, know how good I am at that.
And
me
me
too,
too.
dear.
Not.
Not.
And
I finally learned to sit still for 10 minutes during Taizé.
yes, me too. Um, and my struggle with that, I mean, partly it's because I have so much trouble doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And partly it's because I'm really not sure it's the answer. Because I think the divine is manifested through our actions.
Yeah.
And
I'm
that
with
what was
you, Cheryl.
attractive
Maybe you should
to
bring this to him.
Oh, I
what was
mentioned it already.
attractive to people who flocked to the early church was not meditation, but the way in which the early church took care of one another.
Look how these people loved each other.
Yeah.
And I'm with you on that too. It's a tricky situation between saying, is that meditation? Oh, I could be so awful. I try to be good, Kathy. I do, but this doesn't. Is that meditation going to lead to
Right.
the saving action,
Yeah.
or is it a selfish? And I don't think he means it this way, honestly.
No, I don't think he
For
does
the
either.
person itself to become more close to God. And we look at the contemplative orders that are around, and you can't fault them and say, well, they're not doing anything, because there is the prayer, the contemplation, and the care for others. Is meditation a form of action? Ooh, let's hit him with that Sunday.
Well, I mean, I think that, I don't know that it is that our time and place is any different from any other time and place. I'm tempted to think not. We just have more sophisticated distractions,
Mhm.
maybe
Yeah.
than other times and places. And the reality is that we must disconnect from those things and find times to not be distracted. All of that is true. And all of that is good. It's always connected with enacting love. Mary Lou?
What I would say is there are a lot of different ways to pray, and some people are good at one way and not the other. And to say, oh, we all need to contemplate, and by that they mean, sitting for 10 minutes and, the whole thing that goes with it. I'm not great at that either. But I do find if I write, I do the same thing. So it's a matter of finding your way, I
Right.
think.
That's exactly right. And I don't like to write at all. I've never, I mean,
Right.
other than sermons, which is enough writing for me. I don't need to sit and keep journals and stuff like that. Yes, I mean, that's the point. It is. We need to find our, I mean, we need to be able to be in a place where we can find our center, where we can hear how God would have us move our feet, right?
Mm.
So it's an African proverb. When you pray, move your feet. That
Ooh.
I
that's
like
Really?
that.
that's the African proverb. When
Well,
you
and how fascinating because if you, our bishop just spent a month sabbatical in Africa,
Yes, he did.
and he posted like video journals
It was fabulous.
every day, which were just fascinating. But in every church service he went to, he posted people praying through song and dance
Mm-hmm.
in the
Lots of it.
service.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm.
and when I was younger, I went to the Episcopal Campus Center. In fact, I worked there for a while in Madison when it was a parish, a university parish, and many Nigerian grad students came there. And I became very friendly with them. And they were not, Anglican frozen chosen when you had church services. And I was thinking about it because this is the month of Elul, which is the month before the high holidays, the Jewish high holidays. And it's supposed to be a month of introspection to get ready for hopefully being written and sealed in that book.
Mm-hmm.
But so I've been trying to keep some traditions, like praying and stuff. And honestly, I'm just not very good at this. And yesterday, I'm fascinated by the idea of the nigun, which is a song without words. It's just kind of nonsense words that you sing to a melody, and it's a way of prayer.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked up a, a nigun for Elul, which I had heard a long time ago. And you know how you get 6 million different ways of listening to this on YouTube. And there was one from a synagogue. I don't even remember where it was, someplace in California. And the rabbi was saying that he had started off Elul and with the service for the new moon of Elul. And obviously, this was from several years ago. obviously had been very close to the Shabbat of Elul. And he
You
couldn't,
mentioned music.
yeah,
As a musician, improv is praying.
right, yes.
Whatever comes to your head, it comes out of your
Yes.
fingers.
He said he couldn't, he was going to teach them this nigun, he and the cantor, because he had been unable to write another sermon for that day.
Mhm.
And so they taught the nigun, and he urged the people to sing with them and to find whatever sermon they needed to hear that day in
Exactly.
the singing of the nigun. And I thought, well, that's very meditative.
Yes,
Maybe I could do that.
Well, and that's exactly what Tezé is all about. The music of
Yes,
Tezé.
yes.
It's the simple scriptural passage that that in song seeps into your very being. And the musicians, I mean the joy I get out of Tezé as a musician is the improv that then happens in the midst of that is the joining in and the pulling back and the letting, and this one will come out and then pull back, and we'll just keep doing that until the song finishes itself.
When the first time I went to Zay's services, the way they were done at St. Patrick's was that none of the verses were sung
Yeah,
in the songs,
yeah,
only the refrains.
yeah.
And it went on until the very last person was done singing the refrain.
Hmm.
There was no starting and stopping
Yeah, yeah.
imposed.
Yeah, it finishes itself, begins itself, and it finishes itself. Yeah. Some
Sharon,
people don't have the patience for that. I fully.
I have to work on the patience for that. I'm good with the other. See,
Mary Lou,
folks, are we
Mary Lou,
gonna start chapter
Mary,
3 next week or
Mary
what?
Lou has a comment. Why don't
Okay,
well, I have a question for Sharon. How do you spell Nagoon?
There are two English spellings. One is Nigun, and one is Niggun.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we finished this chapter and we can go on to the next. And I think we should do the same thing. Prepare it and then let it take as much time as it needs to take for us.
Mhm.
got it.
Any,
Jane Korsberg, I'm sorry,
no, go ahead.
that just something that struck me as funny. It's on page 99 in my book,
Okay.
and it starts the popularity of this view. It's talking about the priest and the Levite not wanting to get defiled.
Mhm.
The popularity of this view is confirmed by its appearance in the HarperCollins Study Bible,
Which is what I have right here.
and what Jane got.
I've got it.
And Anne and I got the other one.
Yeah.
There you go. I felt
Oh,
that.
it's great to be with you all. Have a good week. We will be working on what God wants us to work on, and prayers for everybody. And I'll see you next. Oh, yes, I will.
Yeah,
Next Friday.
Next Friday. I got
Friday.
nothing going on.
God love you all. Yes,
Bye.
Bye.
Bye
God bless all
bye.
of you.
Bye.
bye-bye.